All right, well, good morning, my good weather people. My name is Cameron Nixon, and today is the 3rd of September, about my lunch break. And we've got another severe weather setup on our doorstep for the mitten. This is the second time in the matter of 5 days where I've legitimately been forecasting supercells and potentially tornadoes. So, what do we got going on? We have a cold front coming in. It's already sparking some convection along it over here, so that will have to be watched. Um, you can see that nosing into northwest Iowa, and you can see a very broad, juicy warm sector. We've got low 70s dew points with low 80s temperatures, Iowa, and that is basically fire hosing its way through strong synoptic mixing into this general outlook area. So we do have a morning MCS. However, I'm not too concerned about it, and I'll tell you why. It's because of the angle of attack, you could say, of this warm sector. And to give you an idea, this is the HER solution of mixed layer Cape, and this is basically shared by pretty much every model that I have seen. Um, but you could see the strong westerly flow. If we put this MCS on the fringe of this, on the eastern fringe, and let it slide east over time, it's not really preventing the influx of warm, moist air to get into our target area. So I think it's a matter of good timing and good angle of this replenishing flow. But I really do not think this MCS is all too relevant for our setup later today. I could totally be wrong. That's just what I'm intuiting right now. So what do we have that's really keying us into severe weather? And that is our upper level jet. This is our 500 flow, and throughout the day we sustain a brisk 55 to 60 knots of flow over the entire mitten, and generally in the entire outlook area. So definitely with atop those low 70s dew points should get you a little bit intrigued with respect to severe weather. So at the surface, again, I mentioned that cold front. Um, this is generally a solution that is bought by every model that I've looked at. That cold front is basically weakly convergent and will trek across Lake Michigan in the early afternoon and into the lower peninsula um, by peak heating hours. So this weakly convergent cold front, along with, again, we have west to east upper level flow. Those should both be very good for attaining discrete convective mode. Whether or not that organizes into supercells will be discussed soon. So again, yeah, I'm basically targeting this general area as pretty decent for sparse but possibly severe storms. Further down, however, we still have a weakly convergent um, cold front, but it gains its strength later on in the evening, moving into the Illinois, Indiana region. However, what I'm concerned about with mode is that if we take a time at around peak heating, plop a random sounding over Indiana, and the majority of models, cam or not, has interesting low thermo resolution. Um, Vastly varying degrees of destabilization. I've seen RAP models keep almost moist adiabatic lapse rates throughout this, and even models that do mix out, like the HER. We still have this warm nose here. And this will provide a little bit of sin. There's only 33 level cape in the sounding. So generally the general consensus, again, there's many different solutions of this, but the general consensus is not great little thermos. So what I'm really wondering is that combined with the very vague forcing, you can't even really see a wind shift here. um, I do not think this is going to spark um, discrete convective storms in prime time. I really do think that these are not going to really fire and sustain themselves until that cold front moves into this area after dark. And by that time, you have linear forcing and not too great a low thermals anyway because it's nighttime. So really, I think our supercell threat and especially tornado threat should be very limited in this general area. However, I'm really not thinking that for up here. We can get a look at, let's throw up supercell composite, so it makes it a little bit easier for me to collect some soundings in areas that I care about. At 23Z, here let's take a kind of a more upper lower peninsula sounding. And what we got is this regime characterized by mainly crosswise flow, which is still good if you want supercells. And in fact, these can lend to very long-lived, sustained supercells. However, our tornado risk with this kind of lack of streamwise flow on the low levels is probably going to be minimized up here. However, we do have very steep lapse rate. This is reading 213 3K for what that's worth. Steep lapse rates throughout. So something to watch for. This may even be a hail target up here. You see throughout a hatch tail risk yesterday, and I almost agreed with it because we do have some pretty steep lapse rates in the mid levels. It's as whether those low levels can cooperate, which is the other question. However, down here, there's some funky things going on with the low level thermos and with our wind field. And what we have here, I know I like to preach the veer back and its effects on things. This is what I like to call destructive veer back. There's a lot of veer back that is non-destructive and potentially even good for tornadoes. This is not that. If you take our mean wind vector, again, this is what our storms are going to be moving by before they become supercells. So this is what matters. The wind profile around this is what matters in terms of supercell development. And you can see through a pretty deep layer, 1 to 2 kilometers especially, we have a lot of anti-streamwise vorticity. So again, just like your 0 to 1 is largely streamwise, your 1 to 2 is largely anti-streamwise. That's a pretty deep layer to have anti-streamwise vorticity ingested to it. And then like you have these weird kinks and double backs, and this is not great if you want supercell development. So a lot of things are going wrong with this general location in terms of supercell development. If you go any farther north of this area, though, even into lower Michigan, the Kalamazoo to Lansing area is what I'm really looking at for kind of the best possible conjunction of ingredients. And you got those steeper lapse rates back. Your low level lapse rates are pretty good. Again, some pretty fat cape in the mid levels. And your hodograph does not necessarily discourage supercell formation. You do have a lot of crosswise vorticity here, but that's not anti-streamwise. It's not necessarily a bad thing for supercells, and these should eventually enlargen overnight. NAM solutions have shown a little bit larger low-level profiles than RAP solutions have for what that's worth. So if you're curious, this weakness in the flow can be projected to, I could just pull up a 700 millibar map, this weird kind of cut in this flow. So is this meteorological? I'm not sure. I don't know if there is a way to specifically know that for this. However, it is shared throughout the RAP and NAM suite. And this cut basically moves into the highest risk outlook area, or at least the best ingredients at the right time over the prime time. This is 0Z. So this is going to really screw up potential for supercells here among a bunch of other things. Meanwhile, you do have stronger flow up here, which makes your photographs a little bit more prettier. And I got my little magical map of hodographs. These are mean wind relatives, so our mean wind vector is this arrow. You can kind of see that there are a lot of subtle variances that happen rapidly with these hodographs. Again, we got this really crosswise but strong vorticity flow, a strong shear up here. So I'm guessing supercells might be pretty ubiquitous. However, down here, you just get this really weird stuff going on that will lend itself to a lot of crosswise vorticity. This is peak supercell formation hour, 23Z. We got a lot of cape here, but we have between 1 and 3 kilometers, all anti-streamwise flow. So I'm targeting this general area, the Kalamazoo to Lansing area, for the best potential for supercellular tornadoes. Not really thinking much in the way of that will happen here. And up here is a little bit of a grab bag. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.